Let's go. Are we actually on? You're here listening with Kayla
and Georgia,
bringing you real, raw, and relatable chats on the Evolve to Thrive podcast.
Stay tuned because shit's about to get juicy as we dive into all things health, fitness, life, and relationships.
Let's go. Woo. Hey everyone, it has been a red hot minute since I have had Peter in the house.
Hello.
So hello to Peter.
Hey everybody.
Now, I just need to give some context before we get into this episode because I know how much you all love Peter on the pod. So
Thanks,
life
guys.
update very quickly. Georgia is still in America. And I think she's...
Do people know why she's gone?
Do you know what's really funny? People are suspicious because you went to America and she went to America.
Oh, that we're dating.
And
that's so funny.
that's not what happened. But anyway, no, like, bit skeptical.
George is
on
lovely,
that.
but she wishes that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So anyway, guys, Georgia is still in America, and we actually have been. I've actually been recording in a separate studio, but I did return back to the Peter studio last week. And anyway, I wanted to get Peter on today because the whole reason that it's been a little bit of a shit show and a little bit of a shamble is because Peter has had a little bit of an unforeseen circumstance arise.
Yes, I did.
Today's topic is about breakups.
And I hope they can put two and two together.
I'm sure you can all imagine what we're now going to be talking about. So I have actually brought Peter on because I think that a lot of people throughout their 20s, 30s, whatever, 40s, people go through a breakup. It either makes you or breaks you. At the time, it fucking destroys you.
Yeah.
And this is like right in the middle of it for you. So
Yeah. I'd say we're outside of the really sad bit, but it's like the part where you still get sad every other day, or every other hour.
yeah.
So I guess they're going to want like the full context of the relationship. So I'm going to be a bit cagey because I want to respect my partner's anonymity and all that sort of stuff. So you're going to get it purely from, I guess, my point of view as open as I can be about certain things.
Well, I think let's just even preface it as well. Like, this is literally going to be one of the most real and raw episodes as it gets when it comes to relationships and breakups. So we're literally focusing on the side of breakups and how we feel in this situation, what we do in this situation, what Peter has actually gone through in the last couple of weeks, the way that he's actually coped with this breakup and
lacked to cope of.
to cope of, what his coping mechanisms have been, what his lessons have been from this relationship. And just all in all, I'm going to ask him a shit ton of questions. He's going to get so fucking real and raw on here. And this is kind of good because this is going to
fucking real and raw.
This is going to be the fucking male perspective, guys and girls, the male perspective. So stick around for this because it's going to get fucking red hot.
You did a proper intro too.
That was my proper intro.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you. That's great.
We're done. So, craving or tip of the week, we always need to ensure that we provide a craving or a tip. Now, Peter, are you going to provide a craving or are you going to provide a tip? And are we going to have a toast?
Yeah. Oh, cheers.
Because you know that it's always there's always a drink involved when Peter's on the potty. So
I know, but it's more like I don't know if it's you or me because I'll suggest it, but you'll be very excited to drink.
I get
because
so
I'm suggesting
excited.
It. Yeah. But my tip is gonna be consistency is key. So training since I've gotten back, we'll cover it later. But I was in America for 2 weeks, but out for 3. And yeah, like completely broke the cycle for training. And then last week we got that heat wave.
Yeah.
And that consistency has fucked me completely. I haven't been able to get back on track. Kind of. I trained today, but it all feels it's all over the shop. So yeah, just stay consistent with fucking training. Because as soon as it breaks, like even if you're away, just do bits and pieces to stay. Obviously I was not worrying about it at all, but it's completely fucked everything.
Like just trying to maintain some kind of routine and rhythm as opposed to like being all or nothing kind of thing with your...
You can just have a fake place you call the gym if it's McDonald's and go there for like 45 minutes for like 3 days a week.
What, do some fucking star jumps?
The motivation to like get there and do it, like I walked heaps, but it's like it's all gone.
Yeah.
And then, so the excuses are like 10 times what they used to be. And like, it's, but we get
Look,
there.
let's give you some let's cut you some slack. Like you've just gone through a bit of a hardship. You're very vulnerable and emotional right now.
Yeah.
So let's just cut you some slack.
Thanks, man.
You know what? Like chill. You're allowed to be.
But I guess it's a very guy thing to be like, you go through a breakup and then you get into the gym.
Oh my God, 100%.
Yeah.
So this is actually interesting because a lot of women will emotionally eat when they go through a breakup. So I think you either
I mean, let's not be real. I was in America. I was definitely emotionally eating.
yeah, you get like, let's be real, entitled. But I think this is the thing, like there's people who deal with stress and I guess hardship differently because some people will not eat. Some people will completely lose their appetite. And then there's
I wish I got that.
Oh my God, same, because I emotionally
please.
eat for sure. That is guilty as I do resort to food when I'm sad or angry.
You're lucky. You're on like fucking 10 million calories a day. You'd be fine. You could eat half the planet and be fine.
Honestly though, you're allowed to feel like this. And I think it's completely valid, but I think I do like your tip. Consistency is definitely key.
Yeah. Especially in hard times.
Yeah.
It's probably smarter than what I did.
But it also will distract you as well. Like being in the gym, have you found that to be a distraction?
Yes, but I train alone. So also a problem.
You're all in your thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'll tell you not to do then, on the contrary to that, is go for a 2.5 hour solo car ride because that.
Try a 16-hour flight.
Oh my God. Oh.
On Valentine's Day.
Okay. I don't even think I need a craving or a tip of the week because I think we just go straight into this episode. Do you think the listeners want a craving or a tip from me?
They probably do. You've cock-teased them with it now. They need it.
All right. Well, my tip would be I actually froth a solo car ride. Like when I went up to Echuca, I do this regularly. And what I do is I just drive up to Echuca. I meet my family up there. So I did that for the long weekend. But I rate it. And everyone's always like, I'm fucking going to drive by myself
What
for
are you
2
doing
hours.
for the fucking 2.5 hours?
What do I do for that 2 hours? I fucking embrace my solo me time. No, what I genuinely do is I will listen to a podcast.
Yep.
I will crank up the basic bitch playlist that I have.
Okay, yeah. So you decompress.
Yeah, I just decompress. I do actually think a lot about like shit going on in my life. So it allows me to be really present. It allows me to think about things that I kind of forget to do when I'm in the hustle and bustle at home.
Pick the gym, bitch.
But I
Hustle and
bustle. But what I do also do is I call friends.
Okay.
So when I neglect my friends during the week, when I'm quote unquote busy, I'll actually call my friends when I'm driving and then have a proper conversation with them. And then I'm entirely present.
It's called body doubling. So you call someone when you're doing something completely innocuous. I did it with a mate the other day. I was shopping and he was cleaning.
AirPods are the best invention ever.
Yep. So you do that. That's actually a really good point for people that need to actually
put effort into their friends.
Yeah, to catch up and have that time.
Yep. That's what I mean. I think that's why I love doing solo car trips because it gives me a chance to kind of like
catch up
with my thoughts, catch up with my friends, my social life, reconsider things that are on my mind.
Okay.
And then learn. Like I love to listen to podcasts and learn about different shit. So yeah, that's my tip of the week is to enjoy
solo time and decompress.
Well, enjoy
properly.
solo. Go on a freaking 2-3 hour car ride by yourself. It's actually the best.
Yeah, that'll put you well out of fucking Victoria.
Except don't do it when you're going through a breakup because it might be
16 hours on a plane is definitely not. Although someone told me that to Europe's longer and it didn't feel like Europe was longer.
It is. Can you? Yeah. Okay, let's start with this as the question number one.
Yeah.
What the fuck were you thinking about for 16 hours after this breakup? So for context, you've just gone through a breakup.
Yep.
I also want to give the listeners some context as well. What was it? 6 months ago you proposed?
6. It might even be close to 9.
Okay. So Peter got engaged, guys and girls, 6 months ago and has just gone through a breakup. So you could say this was a very serious relationship. This was the person that Peter thought was going to be the person he was marrying, the person that he was going to spend the rest of his life with. And only 6 months ago did he have all the nervous butterfly feelings going through his mind, about to plan a wedding. And it's just ended. So this is exactly why we've brought him on today, because I think some people that do go through these situations are like, what the fuck has just happened? How old are you for the people listening?
I turned 36 while I was there as well.
Oh my God, was it your birthday?
Yeah, it was my birthday as well. Yeah.
All right, so guys, for the podcast being inconsistent for the last month, give Peter some slack.
We can get fucked for one. If you guys have a problem. Look, it was actually an idea that came to me while I was having a drink with two friends, like the week that it happened. And it was joint combo between my psychologist and them. We were kind of talking at the Ascot Vale Hotel, and then they were just asking me questions about, like, you know, kind of what I'm going to throw myself into. I watched a lot of comedy podcasts and stuff. And I went to Austin, Texas for 2 and a bit weeks. 2 weeks, I think. And I ran, like I was talking about this, and my psych kind of asked similar questions. And
do you regularly see a psych regardless of whether you're, feeling like you need to?
I do when we're flush with cash, but seeing as like the rebates are pretty average, not as much as usually. Okay. But when there's stuff on, 100% always.
So you genuinely, you started seeing your psychologist again before the breakup. You started noticing that your relationship wasn't.
So we tried to touch base on a few things with the relationship, just in general, to try and work through bits and pieces just to make things function a bit better. But in terms of, that literally I was more kind of seeing him about kind of my behavior patterns and stuff. To make sure I move that so it doesn't go crazy. So then obviously he hadn't seen me for ages, and we'd spoken previously. We were supposed to do like a group sit down, but some stuff had come up that's like kind of super important for her, that's like literally life and death stuff. So we had to postpone it, and then I literally went back to my psych and I'm like, so it's all done. And he was just shocked.
Wow.
I explained to him that I was making mistakes at work and stuff.
You just were not thinking clearly.
Yeah, like some pretty big mistakes that could cause like a lot of damage and stuff. So they basically said, you got to treat this like you've broken your arm effectively, and you've got to be off work for 2 to 3 weeks to start with, and just see how you're going from then. And then once that was all done and sorted, I was with my mates, and they were like, well, why don't you go to, because I'm obsessed with this podcast, which is in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
So I went, I booked a flight and literally left.
So let's rewind. Let's rewind to the actual breakup itself. Okay. Why do you think the breakup, what can people start to pay attention to when a breakup is about to occur? Or I want to understand from the male perspective, because I think that a female usually sits on their decision for quite a long time. And I think that a female usually will have an inkling that they're not happy in the relationship and that they want to end the relationship, but they actually just hold off for quite a long time. I want to know what your thought pattern was in the lead up to this breakup. Like, did you see this coming? No. Was this a mutual breakup? Was this on her behalf?
This is the exception. So this is going to kind of ruin the question because it's not really applicable for it, but I can touch on that anyway because I know that shit too. But so my instance specifically, we were talking about the future and where we were headed. And it wasn't an argument or anything like that. It was just a general discussion about it. And there was an exchange of values and stuff. And we literally got up to just a point in the conversation where we didn't think we were heading in the same direction.
One of you was thinking about the plans for the wedding and the other wasn't.
Yeah. And then effectively it was one person's choice for it. It was hers. But you can leave that in. I think that's fine. And I think, we just kind of, she felt like she would be doing me a disservice given the current situation and stuff. And it's like, she's still my best friend. I wasn't mad. You don't you're sad and all that sort of stuff. But it was more just kind of, you don't want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with you. And I've always had that mentality.
Yep.
And I think everyone listening should have that mentality. You do want to fix things and do all that sort of stuff. And that's great. But you don't ever want to be like an afterthought for someone for like the rest of your life.
You don't want to be horrible. Second best.
Yeah. And it took balls for her to do that. Like that's big to be like, things are actually fine. I'm actually still super in love with you and things are great, but I feel like I'm doing you a disservice in the long run, based on where we're both heading and like what's going on in our lives.
So she almost felt like she had to kind of let you go in order for you to like be happy, because she felt like she wasn't giving enough to you. Is that almost what you're referring
Look, I'd
to?
say that could have been her vision on it, but when you're in it, like it's weird, like you're so kind of scared and then you become completely internally focused. So I feel like that's probably her sentiment for sure. But I was so like battered at that point that it was like when it happened, like you just panic and you get scared and then it's all horrible. Whilst it was fine, like you go into a fight or flight response in terms of like emotional damage. So there's even bits and pieces where you're like trying to remember it and you're like, I think that's what happened, because it's so traumatic.
But this is the thing, like for you to sit here and say that that you can still be friends with her and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like
love her. She's still my best friend.
That's what I mean. Like it honestly shows so much about you as a character, the person that you are, and the emotional intelligence and intellect that you do have. Because I think there's a lot of people that instantly
it's way easier to hate someone when you break up with them. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if we look at rejection in terms of like being broken up with versus breaking up with someone, both situations suck. Like I've been in both situations where I've been the person breaking up with someone.
Fun fact, it's like 85% of breakups are women.
This is true.
Yeah.
This doesn't surprise me.
It's because you guys carry the emotional burden.
And also,
you overthink everything. That's
I was about to say, because men are fucking cowards and they don't break up with them.
Do you want to know the actual scientific backing behind it? Is that men are fiercely loyal based on how the pair bonding happened in like communities, right? Because when we're all like, this is kind of going back and some people will get triggered by it or whatever. Don't listen if you don't like it. It's the truth though. When you're in communities and groups, the guys that you're bonded to the females of the group is more a communal thing, but you have to kind of protect everyone at all costs, right? So emotional things and stuff don't necessarily come into, once you pair bond with someone, you're like, cool, she's part of the crew or whatever. Like that's it, I'm in. And that's why you find that fierce loyalty with guys. There's even a thing where they've covered when guys cheat on their partners, right? Completely unrelated. This is just the good segue. They will still be fiercely in love with their partner.
When they cheat?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I've never comprehended this.
They've put them through lie detector tests and they're genuinely still in love with their partners. But it's a different function compared to that. And so that's why I'm saying it's two different circuits. Like a guy, once they're in and it's like a proper in, you're in, man. Like you're in for fucking, if it's a proper relationship, you're in forever. Like, it doesn't matter if everything's on fire and the things are falling down.
He's not going to break up with them.
The ones where the guys break up and stuff tend to be the guys either emotionally avoidant or was in a situation they didn't want to be in the first place. And then it's one of those things that's kind of already started, cooked. And then eventually, like, it's very rare, 25% or 20% rare, for a guy to break up with the girl.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is some interesting stats. Well, I want to bring it back to you.
Yeah, of course.
Because this is all about you today. And this is all about Peter's, like the way that you have dealt with this breakup. Because I think we can have a look at insight into how you have dealt with it, but also take away the lessons and maybe some tips that you do have for people that are going through a breakup. Because I think you're someone who's you're very committed to your beliefs and your opinions and your
strong core beliefs.
You do have that. You do have that. But what I'm trying to say is like, you're not going to tolerate shit. Yeah. You're aware. You have a strong self-worth as well, which it's like you could stay in this situation. You could go back, but you're also like, I don't think I want to because I don't want to be second best. And a lot of people will have that thought of going back to an ex-partner. Yeah. Because they don't have that level of self-worth for themselves.
Yeah, it's really hard. And like this is the thing, if you're thinking about it and stuff, that's totally fine. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a very normal reaction. And it's not to say that I haven't had those thoughts, right? So obviously you want to go back to, all the goodness and all these sorts of things. But it is when you have those moments of clarity, because you think of it as like waves and stuff. So you'll have like the wave to like run back and then you'll have like the wave to run away. And then like, so in those breaks in between that, I try and come back to like normal thinking, like logical thinking. And it's like, if you're not the first choice or this person's at some point been like, I want to not be with this person anymore, for you to then go back. Funny part was, I guess anecdotally, I had the guys in America throw my own situation back at me. Like while I was
we're going to
drunk.
get into that.
Yeah.
No. Wait, hold that thought. We're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Let's rewind to the part that you just said. You go through
Yeah.
the different phases of a breakup.
Yeah.
Where you run away.
Yeah.
And then you run back.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole lot of stages within a breakup.
So there's gaps between that.
Let's talk about you running away from your problems.
Yeah. So I literally.
So you had the breakup.
Mm.
It was Valentine's Day and you fucked off to America.
So
Talk to us about this.
I didn't actually think about it.
Did you say I didn't actually think about it?
No, yeah, like the actual date.
You just
that we
literally
booked it.
left.
Or maybe we did.
I literally got a message from you and you're like, hey, by the way, this has happened. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
The hell? And then
I
you're
guess
like,
the biggest thing that I would kind of share with people is I didn't actually want to tell many people because it's at an engaged level, it's very front facing and it's very daunting. I'm assuming people at the marriage level would probably feel even worse, but there's actually a lot of people in my life probably still that don't know. Like I had close friends that were coming over to my house that were like, "What the fuck's going on?" sort of thing. What was the question?
we started getting into running away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And going off to America.
Yeah, so we booked it.
Continue what you said though.
With
you watched it.
No, because when it's emotional, I get like I try and stay straight, and then I get disconnected.
You were talking about not telling people, like being ashamed almost to tell people.
Yeah, oh for sure. Especially at 36, when everyone already has kids and stuff, and you're bringing up the rear guard getting engaged like after everyone else is married with kids, to then get broken up with again.
Talk to me about how you feel during this process.
It's fucking horrible. It's like it's the lowest you can feel. In like I guess a social standing. But I had a very close friend of mine, who I love to death, Elle, point out to me that like not all relationships and dating is equal. And I've always told her this since we've known each other. And when you date different kinds of people, and you date in different spaces, there's different rules, bounds, and understandings, right? So what I'm trying to get at is like, the people that get married younger and in high school, it's a different relationship bracket to someone that dates a lot later, dates in different kind of areas of life. Things are different. You can't treat them all as equal.
Yeah.
You can't be holding yourself to the same standard as someone that met someone in high school. You can't have to the same standard as someone that met someone in their early 20s, right? It's different.
This is
There's different rules.
important to talk about.
Now, without being... So her exact words were the kind of women that you date tend to be quite driven. And then women that are quite driven tend to know what they want and tend to be more decisive. Whereas, and I'm not like, again, to anyone that knows me personally and stuff, this isn't directly like at you. It's more the sentiment in general. And if it hits home, call me and we can talk about it. But more that, I guess, the higher functioning these people are, the more they expect from life. And then things can happen. Like they can, neglect relationships. They can... understand what they want and then need to shift a bit more. Whereas someone that's just got married earlier is happy. So
content,
ignorance is bliss
complacent kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to offend too many people.
Yeah,
but it's true. Like if you look at the data and you look at what happens and all these sorts of things, there's a reason celebrities kind of tend to marry later, have kids later, do things later. Billionaires marry later. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
because I guess it's less of a priority to them to get married and settle down.
Yeah, the proof's in the pudding. Yeah. And it sucks. Like it's an uncomfortable truth, but depending on where you're at in life and what you're doing, all those sorts of things. I'm not comparing myself to that. I'm just saying that like the spaces I date in are different to the people around me. And that's why things keep fucking up.
No. Look, we don't have to. Yeah. I'm no one to judge because the same cycles repeat over and over for me as well. But I think the main part of this is to really evaluate like the social status and the social stigma that happens when you go through a breakup in your 30s because, society says that like that's the age that you should be
I'm lucky
settling
I'm a dude
down
and it's
stuff.
not as bad.
Yeah, well, but even still, like, were you ready to go through that phase of your life?
Mate, I was done. I was ready. I was home and hosed. I was happy to spend my years out with the lovely lady.
Were you at that point?
I'm still not ready to be single. No. Really. It's fucking horrible.
Well, let's now talk about how you've dealt with this because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like guys deal with breakups very differently to women, I think, and I want to talk about this.
Yeah, I preface this with also don't take what I'm doing as what most guys would do also. So I guess, do you want me to lead with how I explained it to you?
Let's go with it. Like, let's talk
Okay.
about how you did deal with this whole breakup.
So I'm dating already. I was dating fairly early on with it.
Do we want to talk about your Texas trip?
Yeah, if you want. What do you want to, like, ask
Let's
some
get into
questions?
it. Let's get into it because a lot of women will have the feels, feel the feels then and there. They go through it. They bawl their eyes out. They cry.
Yeah.
They're sad. They're emotional. They do all that.
Yeah.
I know from experience, I've noticed a lot of guys try to suppress how they actually feel and they don't want to deal with the emotion.
Yep.
I'm not saying this is you and I want you to
Yeah.
explain.
No,
what
I did.
you-
I avoided it.
I do want you to
I
explain.
fucking left the country to avoid it.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. And this is my whole point. So I feel like an observation that I've noticed between men and women in the way that they deal with breakups is men do try to avoid and distract
Yep.
how they actually feel. Whether that is through substance abuse, going and sleeping with other women straight away, or going and jetting off to another country, whatever it might be.
So I've effectively done each of those things at different relationship breakups. I did substance abuse on the first one, the meaningless sex in volume, like big volume on the second one, and this one was kind of like a mix of everything minus the drugs. I still haven't touched the drugs since we broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your initial thought process.
I smoked weed in Texas.
Your initial thought process, I'm leaving, I'm going and getting the fuck out of this country, was literally what you said to me in a text message.
Yeah. That's the ultimate avoidance thing.
Yeah.
But might I add to everyone listening, verified by my psychologist. So talk to a psychologist, and if they genuinely back what you're doing, then it's not your fault.
I'm all supportive of it. I said, you go do what you need to do. I would be doing the same. I actually think that I would probably do that. I actually did do that in my last breakup.
Yeah. It allowed me to layer some really happy memories, like massively happy memories.
Was that your first time? That was not your first time.
In Texas. And first time in Texas, like my 6th time in America.
Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. And so you went to Texas. You were always planning on going there?
So ironically enough, and again, we will avoid the sadness.
Perfect time though.
It was because I was going to have my Bucks party there.
Oh my God, okay. Yeah.
Because so Joe Rogan's Comedy Club is there, Comedy Mothership, which is his hat.
Because Peter also is a lovely podcaster himself.
Yeah, and I'm a huge proponent of comedy and all that sort of stuff, and it's really important to me.
Loves comedy. Is a comedian.
Yeah. So without getting too emotional, it was fucking awesome, and I don't regret it. I just wish it could have been under happier circumstances. That's
Yes.
all. I promised I wasn't gonna get emotional, and this is fucking shit.
All right. So for those of so let's move on to. We told you guys this is going to be a really raw episode. So I'm going to try my best to ask some questions, but provide some value and give you a moment as well, because this is still super early days. This only happened like a few weeks ago.
So I think it's coming up on a month.
It's
over a month.
It's just over a month. Yeah. So like you could imagine exactly like what's going through your head right now.
Yeah.
But you've come back. Now, obviously we like to go on a holiday and we can easily forget. We can be distracted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like we all go on a holiday and it's very easy for us to enjoy the moment and be super present and do all the things that make us feel good and feel happy. But then you have that 16-hour flight and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. So the two pain points were the 16 hours up and the 16 hours back.
Yeah.
And then, the 16 hours back is worse because everything's under a time constraint. When you're leaving, you're like, it can get delayed, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then coming back is like on a very finite timeline. So it's doubled, and then once you get on the plane, you're just left to just think. And then everything slowly
What was going through your mind in this period of the 16 hours?
On the way back.
What was actually going through your mind in this point?
Yeah. So everything kind of slowly starts to seep in like quicksand. And it's just like every negative thought that happened at the start, specifically for me, because I left so early, you actually go back to maybe we can fix this because I've been gone and it's like a fresh reset, or like maybe, so I did everything again.
Okay.
On the way back. So look, whilst the memories are great, I don't recommend doing it so quick.
As in don't travel?
Yeah, it was very quick. I wouldn't change it. because I made some really good friendships and stuff there. But in terms of like emotional, you know what? I'll change that entire. If you want to fucking do it, do it. Because if that's the only way you can get through, then do it. Because like literally everything here reminded me of that. I
think a good reminder is.
So I almost needed the break. You can hear me working through this as we're talking about.
No. You're allowed to do that. Yeah. I think what people need to be aware of in this situation is it is absolutely okay to go and distract yourself. And if you want to go on a holiday, if you want to go sleep with someone else, if you want to go and do drugs or alcohol as a coping mechanism, like that's your choice. Yeah. But don't continue suppressing it is my piece of advice. Yeah. Like you can suppress it for a tiny bit, but you're always going to have to come back and deal with it. Like
that's exactly. You have to pay the piper at some point.
Eventually you're going to have to deal with how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And the longer that you suppress it and the longer that you try and bury it, the worse it is going to be for you. And that's why I just think that
my co-host actually, who's a clinical psychologist, said that it is better to face it head on.
Yeah.
Because it's literally a time thing. So the more you throw yourself into it, and that's probably, you guys have a better emotional circuitry than men usually. And then the default response to something you don't understand is fear to avoid. Hence what I did. And it does kick the can down the road a bit. I'm lucky where I have a little bit of a higher EQ. So I was kind of like,
you knew that
I was almost like, you know, when you get like a slow leak on your tire. I was like slow leaking the pain while I was overseas.
But you knew that you were, I think as well, as you said, like you do have, even the more that I get to know you, I realize how high of an EQ you do have. And I always regularly have conversations with you about relationships and dating and how men think. And you do think very differently to a lot of men that I've ever dated. And I think that says a lot about your character. And again, like you're not neglecting it. You went on a holiday, but you've come back and you're still working through this process.
It's like the pile of clothes in the bedroom. You know it's there. I'm not ignoring it. I'm like doing it bit by bit, slowly, until mum yells at me to clean it up sort of thing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now, you've obviously used... All right, let's go back to how else you've coped with this since you've been back.
Yeah, so even actually, there I was dating and seeing people and hooking up with people and stuff. Yeah.
I've had the question that's come back to me.
Yeah.
So Peter is the best person for advice, guys. Peter will always give you the best advice.
Not about engagements though.
So like when it comes to me and boys, he will be so cutthroat with me and he will tell me how it is. Now, a really scary wake up call Peter had when he was overseas is he obviously had told the people that he met over there about his situation. And what ended up happening is these people that he met relayed the exact situation that had just happened to Peter.
Yeah.
And they asked Peter for advice. So I want you to talk about this.
Yeah, they fed into my bullshit. They're like, because these people are the best people ever. And like Mendel, Maddie, Nat, fucking everyone that's listening, if you are, thank you, and it was great. But they're like, oh, you're a dating podcast, dude, and whatever. And we've got some questions for you about like a friend, and they just fed my own stuff back to me, what was happening in my life, and I was just like, yeah, man, like, you know, if she's stringing you along and all this sort of stuff, and I just came back like quite blunt and quite honest about, you know, like I've explained this entire, you want to be someone's first pick, you never want to be off the bench and all that sort of stuff, which I give myself full advice to ignore my own advice, because sometimes there is exceptions to every rule, and I do to this day still say that Amy's the exception to every rule I've ever had about any girl, which is why it hurts so much. But it's hard to take your own advice sometimes.
Exactly.
Which is really important. Yeah.
Exactly. So what was the advice that you said? I want to know the advice that you said. And I know this is hard.
The advice is if someone does break up with you and then, you know, they kind of want the things to come back together or like whatever, or you need to cut it. You need to not be so closely associated. And this is the general rule of advice for most people.
Cut the relationship and don't go back. As in like out of sight, out of mind.
You want to move forward, and if she is going to come for you, she will. Whether you're moving forward, you know what I mean? Like she'll come and find you.
Yes.
And that was effectively like, it was much more eloquent and stuff when we were talking about it before. But I'm just trying to at least obviously, you know, respect Amy as well.
Yes.
But yeah, it is. You don't want to be someone's afterthought, second choice. At some point when someone breaks up with you, it's over. They've decided to make a pretty big, and it takes balls to do it also. So do you want to be with someone for the rest of your life that had that indecision? And I say all this and I preface that with, every rule is meant to be broken. And when it's applicable and when it's not deep down inside, but I would give it time before making those choices. So my advice was to do the exact opposite as to what I did. It was like cut ties, don't talk to them. They're trying to kind of like carry their own feelings and stuff, which honestly, I'm probably gonna have to cut the episode and get some tissues. We should have had tissues.
Oh my God.
No, we won't. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, if it's ended, you need to move forward.
Yeah.
And it's without that person. And then if they are wanting to get back on board, they will come for you. And then that's when you have that conversation. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing none of that. So, hey.
So what are you? You're still in contact?
Yeah. She's the love of my life and my best friend. So we'll always be in each other's lives, which will be a fun thing for any girl I date going forward. But, it's part of the package deal that is Peter at this point. Subject to change. Everything in my life is subject to change, including engagements. But
look, it's obviously been this has probably been this is obviously the worst breakup you've ever gone through in your life.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yep.
How many breakups have you gone through in your life now?
Only 3.
So you've
gone 3.5. 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah. What have you learnt about this one particularly?
None of them before really mattered.
Yeah.
None of them.
What would you
really
say
mattered.
you learned from? I want to know a lesson that you learn in each breakup that you've.
First one was, wow, girls can move in with you and actually not really give a fuck. Second one was, wow, girls can move interstate with you and not really give a fuck.
Where'd you move?
No, so my ex before Amy came from Sydney.
Oh, okay.
With me. And I guess the one sentiment I take from all of them, and can be a bit blasé for some people, is it can be easy come, easy go. So, and this too shall pass on top of all of that. So
this shall take more time though.
Well, this too shall pass, right? Like, so you can apply that to anything.
Yeah, I guess.
Like even happy things. You're like, this too shall pass, which is really depressing.
Yeah.
But the
nothing could last forever, apparently, right?
The easy come, easy go thing is more a mantra of, as easy as something comes into your life, as easy as it can leave. So you kind of need to be at peace with that. And then, kind of just take it as it comes and not let it rock you as hard as it is right now, right? Because it will pass. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not as eloquent and as fun as I usually am, obviously, but
no, I think this is important, and I think that like you're not alone when you feel like this.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. Yeah, I'm really sorry to put you in this position.
It's fine. It's all good.
And I'm like, do I bring the mood up or?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. We can talk about banging and sex and all that sort of stuff. That's the fun part of a breakup. You get to fuck a bunch of people. That's good.
Peter's trying to run away from his feelings right now.
No, I'm trying to give you pacing for an entertaining podcast.
But okay, no, I think
you can't be sad for long periods of time.
No, we can't.
I can. I have been for the last month.
Look, we fucking love Peter, guys. He is the absolute, he is a fucking legend. I love him. I actually caught up with him for a coffee and I did get the rundown of this whole situation.
Cliff notes.
Last week we caught up for a coffee and I did hear a rundown on this and I said, I think it would be a really good idea if you're open to this, to come on the podcast and talk about the breakup. And he said,
I think it's important. If I can help one person, we're good.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Like, one person that goes through a breakup at this particular age in their life, they think that their whole life is fucked and over forever.
Ironically enough, yeah. And for girls, it's going to hit harder. I got super lucky where I had a bunch of really smart individuals they know data, then that works with me, right? So they threw a bunch of information at me about, again, how guys' value kind of starts to peak like 34 to 40. As like a really valuable dude. So that was the one bit of like
Even better if you don't have
crowning-
kids as well. Let's just say that.
right? So
Why is that
helps
though?
me. Because
in terms
you got to
of
remember, like,
finances and
I've got my job together. I've got my
Job.
shit together. I've technically got my emotions together. If we don't talk about this podcast,
I was going to say like just
I've got aspirations. I've got goals. Like I've got like a lifestyle pattern
And-
set in that people can see and be like, this is Peter.
and you actually have developed EQ by that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually.
Correct. Yeah.
Because that obviously takes a lot longer for males.
And I guess we can segue. This is a good segue into the dating part of it.
Let's
and
do
it's
it, yeah.
definitely converted into dating very easily, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend this for everyone, but again, the dude who has a dating podcast, there's that extra pressure of like, I kind of need to practice what I preach.
So do you feel like, okay, I want to ask you an honest question that you may not be expecting.
So,
If you did not have a background in the dating world of running, you know, because you obviously run, oh my God, like dating.
Yeah, speed dating, the
you run
podcast,
you run
coaching
speed dating
and
and
stuff.
and dating coaching and obviously run a dating like you have a dating podcast.
Yep.
If you did not have any of this, do you feel like you would have still gone and dated so quickly, or do you feel like this has led you to this because of what you do
I
for
feel
work?
like the skill set I had. So the long story short, without fucking the origin story of Peter, which is boring as fuck, being like a fat nerd, then like fixing dating and then all that sort of stuff, gave me a skill set. So that if I ever, like, the big thing is like never wanted to be alone, right? Like the fat kid that couldn't date through high school and stuff. I think it's like, I would ask you this question. Like if you could have a button where you could press the button, when you press that button, you could like date people and feel good again. Like you would press the button, right?
Yeah.
So that's effectively, I've developed skills to get me to Peter now, where I can press a button and then it's like, it's not that people will be like, oh, he's just circumventing the feelings, but it's not. It's helping me process them, right? Having the context between like Amy and then like one of the girls I'm dating at this point in time, I know that she's not even like close to what I'm going to end up with. So it helps me sort and date better than I would. And think about the sliding doors moments too.
Does it just allow you to learn more about you dating, do you think?
It's both. So you know what you want, and then you have to obviously reassess the dating landscape when you come back. But one big thing I say to people too is the longer you keep yourself out of the dating pool, you consistently miss that special person for you. Like, I even spoke about this with Amy. So when I met her, I still wasn't fully back to me. She brought that out in me. But if I was a bitch about it and I was like, I'm not ready to date, like, I'm still sad. Like, I could still identify someone that was amazing, fantastic, and that all the same values clicked. I'm going to need to grab a tissue.
You ready?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, what are you going to actually start with? Because now
Okay.
I need to remember.
No, that's all right. Yeah, I had to get a tissue and stuff. But so I was talking about the sliding doors moments. And then if you take yourself out of the dating pool, you miss those
Yes.
special people. Because I guess...
Are you starting this?
Yeah, it's we're going.
Shit.
It's fine. So it is one of those things where if you do remove yourself from the dating pool, you continuously miss amazing and special people that can help you realize, you know, the real you and your potential and kind of start that next journey.
But I think this is really important because there's so many girls that I know, and I'm gonna throw one of my friends under the bus here. I'm not gonna say her name, but I fucking love you.
Let me get my fucking...
But there is seriously like so many girls I know that are so scared to date, and they're so sick and tired of dating apps, and they're so sick and tired of being let down. And I promise I'm not just talking about me, but honestly, girls in general, the amount of conversations that I have with women who are just like, I'm just fucking over it, Kayla. Like, I just get let down. There's no one good out there. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my energy only to get let down again. Do you just say, fuck that? Just keep going on dates? Like, because it's a learning experience as well.
And the one person that you find at the end of it is worth all the bullshit beforehand.
Yeah.
Well, they've got to be. And if they're not, then you fucking found the wrong person.
Isn't it ironic though? Like, I'm so much better with organic meetings with people.
Oh, dating apps are horrendous. And that's
Like-
been a fucking... Although, I will admit, for like every hit, there's a miss. So
I've met some great guys on Hinge.
there's one particular girl at the moment that's fucking fantastic.
From
and it'll
Hinge.
probably go tits up. Yeah, but regardless...
What are you looking... Like, I need to ask this.
Yeah.
what is your purpose of dating right now?
So actually, it's glad because you spoke about this today, so I've already had that locked and loaded.
I want to know, like, surely you're not.
The way I look at it is like any high performing business, sports team, or whatever. The way all of my life is, any exceptional candidates will always be considered, no matter what the time is. No, but this is what I'm like. Think about it, right? Like logically,
if someone amazing comes your way, why the fuck not?
Why would you not? Like what? I'm not ready.
Yeah.
For the best.
You're never going to be ready.
Met.
Is my like? Don't you agree?
Yeah, correct. It's the same. They say it about kids. They say it about buying a house. Is you'll never be ready.
You're never going to be ready for anything.
Now you can go into it and then be emotionally damaged, and there's problems, right?
Like, do you feel like this is another question? That's sorry, you haven't really finished what you said, but I think this is important. Do you feel like you could go straight into it? Like you haven't really done your own healing yet.
So you got to remember too, the going straight into a relationship, that process is on average, fucking anywhere from 2 months to 6 months, like of before you're even close to being official.
Do you feel like people should have not a really long? I think there's a very big difference between dating and then getting into another relationship. Like, how there's those people that go from relationship to relationship to relationship and they never actually they never actually be alone.
Yeah. My advice to them, or my advice about that is if that's working for them and they're happy, they're genuinely happy.
Well, it's not working if they keep ending, if the relationship keeps ending.
But are they happy the entire way through the process? And if they are, why would you neglect someone from being happy? If they're unhappy, then yes, they need to change their behavior, right? But if they're not, more power to them. Why would you stop it?
True. And it's everyone's own personal thing, but I don't know. I personally think that it's very valuable to have some time alone to really understand what you want.
It's a common concept that a lot of people, and that's actually one thing that I'll pass on to everyone listening. When you break up with someone for a long time, you're going to get so much fucking shit advice that you could literally if you had $1, mate, you could just buy fucking. Anyway, everyone's going to give you advice, and there's always going to be everyone's opinion.
What's your advice on this topic? Of moving into things too quickly?
Moving into things quickly. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't feel right, so you have to be aware of your own emotional state. Are you doing this because you don't want to be alone? Are you doing this because this person ticks the boxes that you have, that you've thought about, that you've listened to Peter's podcast and you have the 3 values in someone that when you meet them, they tick all those boxes and everything seems like it's going right.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying and it's how I'm able to date so quickly and do things like that, is if you have these frameworks in place, I'm just going to things that I've taught myself before. Just like when you go to the gym and stuff and you're like, I've got to train this, I'm going to do that. Yeah. Right? So I have these gates and these checks. So when
what are your gates and what are your checks?
So the generic ones when you first meet someone to see if there's an attraction and a vibe is good energy, great outlook and great eyes for me. That's always like the 3 things that have been consistent with all of my partners. They always have fantastic outlooks on life. They always have good energy. They always have great eyes, right? I always tell someone, have at least one physical thing in there so you're not lying to yourself that it's all emotional.
You definitely need some.
Look, the biggest thing I've learned from this in general is you're going to have to feel it out on your own. And I got some good advice the other week, and one guy who's just going through a breakup himself, but of like a marriage with a kid. And he's like, you're going to go through all of the fuck stuff on your own. And that's scary. But it is a bit rich to expect people to be there for you. And you do reassess friendships and stuff.
This is the thing, right? Yeah. If you're not good at being alone, this is a very challenging time for people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
There's some people that just can't be alone. Like, there's some dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
They constantly are relying on friends or company, and they genuinely cannot be alone.
But we're a big community, so you would like to think that there are people to hold space for that, but as you get older, there's simply not those people.
No, there's not. The older you get, I've certainly realized that too.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I guess it'll teach you the strength to do it and the strength to get through it. But there's podcasts and stuff that you can reach out to if you are feeling shit. Mine's erplatpod@gmail.com and was it Evolve to Thrive at gmail.com?
Evolve to Thrive. Yeah.
Reach out to places like this because, mate, it's it's fucking shit. And I was thinking about reaching out to a podcast, believe it or not, about it, because you do need that impartial opinion where someone gets like a snippet, you know, like they spun the advice back on me.
Yes.
To do it, but yeah, look.
The question that I have for you is where to from here? Like what?
Yeah.
What is the plan for you now?
So,
what are you doing right now versus what you actually want?
Testosterone, the gym.
So Peter is about to get in the best fucking shape of his life, ladies.
No, 100%. Like, so it's all kind of all over the shop at the moment.
In all seriousness, though, you are dating. You have entered the dating arena quite soon. And how is this making you feel? Like, in all seriousness, is there more pros or more cons to it? Do you feel like it's a Band-Aid, and do you feel like you're actually benefiting from doing this, or do you think that it's a bad decision?
So, I think it's a decision. I think at this point in time, it's helping me navigate the space. It's definitely a Band-Aid. But if you were bleeding out, you would put a Band-Aid on the cut if that's all you had available. So, and again, like I said to you before, with the premise of I would never want to miss that next person because I wasn't ready. And I guess some people need the time to be ready. And I've always been a person that needs to rise to the occasion with things.
Are you entering this space telling people that you've just come out of a long-term relationship and you're not looking for anything serious?
This is advice I have for people that enter dating. You do not owe anyone any explanation to your dating past if you have just met them. If someone asks you shit about your dating life within the first few chats and you haven't even actually met each other in person, I would politely tell them to go fuck themselves.
Hey.
You do not owe anyone anything coming into these spaces. You need to deal with things how you need to deal with things. And if someone's asking you those questions, it's from a selfish place. They don't care about where you're at. They don't care what's happened to you. They care how much damage you can do to them and how that impacts their time in the house.
That is so true.
So be very careful. And that's why I'm able to date so early, because I understand these things and have these boundaries. And
it's a very important point, because there's been a number of times where I've been a rebound for someone else.
Yeah.
And it's it's shit, because you meet someone and then you realize like, oh yeah, this is great, this is cool. And then they go back to an ex, or you're simply just a rebound.
So with that, like I'm saying to you, like the exceptional candidate will always be considered. Whilst it hurts, the advice I give is like, say Jennifer Aniston was single, right? And then some guy broke up with his missus. Do you think she would be the rebound, or do you think they'd get married straight away? They get married straight away.
You're telling me I'm a piece of shit.
No. What I'm telling you is you're not his Jennifer Aniston.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So whether that happened, you know, right after his missus, whether that happened 12 months later,
that is so funny.
It was still going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm telling you. And like the big thing from like all my crying and all this bullshit is, I know like
now you can give a dig back at me.
No, like a lot of the listeners will be thinking like, oh, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of weird and whatever. Any exceptional candidate will be considered is like, if something's right, we're not retarded. Some people will know if something's right. That some people will know if something's special.
Correct.
It's about having the courage to date when you shouldn't be dating. That's my biggest advice to people is, if you can, do it. Why wouldn't you do it? What are you going to do? Oh, I met people that were all assholes.
I think people should be more open to dating. Like that's my opinion. And
I agree.
Any shit date is a learning experience, I think.
And there's been a few.
At the end of the day.
There's been a few. You'll get your catfishes, you'll get, you know, people that you instantaneously know you will not get along with, which is why I've always preached, you know, meeting people that you know and meeting people that you're out. See that you know when you're out, so you can get the vibe and all that sort of stuff. But again, like I think your forever person is worth that struggle.
Do you think that you and Amy will get back together?
I genuinely don't know. I don't know. Whether it is or it isn't, the way I'm proceeding forward is as if it's not going to happen, because it's probably not. So if it does happen at any point, then, you know, it won't be of my doing. It'll have to be of her doing. So
as in if it doesn't happen?
No, like in general, like I'm proceeding forward like it's done.
Yeah. Do you think that you are going to continue seeing her?
For the rest of my life until I die. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I think a question that I also have is, like, feel free to not talk about this if you don't
fine.
feel comfortable with it. My personal opinion, I could never continue
dating a dude that still talks to his ex, like she's his best friend.
That I was actually going to say, I don't think I could ever move on and continue seeing my ex-boyfriend without being exclusive with them, without that being a relationship.
Oh yeah, you want to hear the catch-22 on that one? I was like, as soon as you start dating someone, let me know because I'm done.
Hang on.
So
hang on a minute.
No, but
hang on a minute.
The context of that was if she genuinely found her forever person, based on private conversations that we've had, I would respect that and get out of the way, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But until then, we'll see. And this is the thing too, like it gets weird when you care about the person to that level, and you guys are kind of maintaining. Once you push through like a different, like people that co-parent and stuff, right? Like you still need to see them. So you kind of work through things, I guess, as they happen.
That is a massive, again, reflection of you as a person.
Yeah.
I think I'm just showing how selfish I really am because I just couldn't do that.
That's not bad.
Like
That's not bad.
I don't know what it is, but.
You know why? Because it's a lot to deal with and it's a lot. And this is what I told you, like you'll get a lot of advice from people that's fucking horrible. And you don't have to take it on board.
I think that everyone's entitled to do whatever the hell they want with any situation.
And good friends will be there regardless. One thing I did notice that people should kind of be aware of is people will kind of stay away from the black cloud because it's almost like if it touches them, it'll get them. And then so you really
what do you mean by that? So like
you really do see how many people are unhappy around you by how far they stay away from you when there's trauma. Yeah. And that's a big wake up call. And there's a few people that will be getting left alone when they have trauma. Because I'm always the first one to dive into whatever's going on because I can handle it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a few people that I've seen just like fucking.
Like they don't want to
get the fuck away from it because they've got some stuff going on. That like, I think of it like the chicken pox. Like they don't want to catch it.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? But you just got to take that information on board and then realize those people aren't. I had people that legitimately, because I did speak to friends, come at me because I wasn't talking to them and they thought that there was an issue between me and them. Even after they found out that my relationship ended.
Really? They're just like, you know what? I've actually got
anymore.
I've really got my own
shit. I don't talk to those people anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. And even like the backhanded thing afterwards, after they kind of still, because I haven't clarified it for these people still, because I don't need to, because I'm dealing with something that's pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
People would have told them, so they should know. But then even to be like, they referred to it as getting ghosted.
Even me, like I didn't even know how to talk to you or what to say or what to do.
You know what you did that fucking very few people did? I'll come and have a coffee with you. When do you want to have a coffee?
Yeah.
It's not fucking rocket science.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, something's wrong. Do you want to actually sit down and talk about it? Like,
yeah. I know. I feel like
if they thought it was about them, they could have just come and said that.
Yeah.
And then I would have said, it's not about you. Some stuff I don't want to talk to you about. But
you've had friends like this at the moment.
2.
Think that you're mad at them, but really you're just dealing with your own bullshit right now.
Which is honestly, it's a blessing in disguise because what that means is the relationship's completely one-sided.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you're not present, you're not giving them something that they need from you.
That's wild.
And you're a resource in their life.
That's wild.
And they no longer have access to that resource.
That's absolutely wild.
But it's this shit allows you to take stock of your people.
Yeah.
And stuff, and then come out of this, a little bit lighter than you did before.
And like, as bad as it sounds, I just remember going, like, when you told me what you were going through.
Your first reaction was to lean in and see if I was okay. It's completely normal.
Yeah. I think I do that a lot with people and just checking in on them. And it's and this goes for anybody. Like, I think that when one of your friends or someone that you know that's really close to you goes through something fucking shit, people push people away, but it doesn't mean that they actually want to be left alone.
Yeah.
You kind of have to just keep trying. And they do want to be alone initially, but you just have to keep checking in.
You can do what the boys did at work. The boys at work were just like, are you okay? And then I was like,
obviously no,
And
but
and I was like, yeah, I'll reach out if I do need anything, and that's perfectly fine too. The best thing you can do when someone goes through something like this is just send that initial message straight away. Hey man,
I'm here if you need anything.
I'm here. And then if you want to follow up later, you don't have to, but just that initial check.
I think the follow-up is the most important. Like, of course, people are going to reach out. And this is what...
But you can be busy also. This is the thing too. Like, other people can be busy and that's not... Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to fully understand as a person going through trauma that everyone's got... Like, I've had some people dump some stuff on me recently and I'm like, oh man, my shit's not that bad. Like, it's not that bad. And that's the big thing that you can learn with, like, a relationship breakup with no children, just an engagement and a person who still loves me dearly and we still talk. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on around you and realize that, like,
your situation may not always
relationships aren't the be all and end all.
No.
People are dying. People are sick.
Yeah.
You know? People are losing jobs. People are going to jail. Like, there's fucking crazy shit, man.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that what you're going through isn't important and isn't validated either.
No, correct. But we do have a habit on the fucking days of social media where, you know, your life isn't a fucking soap opera. Whilst it sucks, just keep moving.
Yeah.
You know?
What have you done to get through to the next
bitches.
day?
No, okay.
No, but that's actually what you've done.
So I do. I am a very kinesthetic person. So I do connect with people through touch and very like I'm touchy feely.
Are you using my podcast to pick up? No, jokes.
No.
But seriously, I think you do. This is exactly how you responded.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I want to know in the day to day, like. You've gone back into the gym. That's become a really big focus of yours.
I mean, I guess the context is I've always trained, right?
Yeah.
So as a return to the habit, but probably like...
I think you're going a bit harder at it now though. Would you say?
I've still been pretty inconsistent with the heat. I'm still finding excuses.
I'm still shit.
I'm still finding excuses, yeah.
Yeah.
Diet's been kind of a bit better, but I might have fucked my macros, which I need to talk to you about.
Okay.
But it's definitely...
Can't help a girl out.
I'm definitely... more focused that I need to fix it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. We can have a chat about that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a chat about Peter's macros off
Yeah.
No, but like I think coping mechanisms in terms of mental health.
Yeah.
I want to know right now where do you like I don't know.
Yeah.
Where are you at? Obviously your mental health is not great.
Yeah.
But what are you doing to improve how you're feeling?
Yeah. So training is key. Training is probably the one linchpin that will fix all the sadness straight away. It takes a minute when you're training. Usually it's straight away, like when you get in the gym, you're like, all right, let's do this fucking whatever. It takes a minute. It takes like 2 sets for that really.
Does it come in waves each day? Like some days you're okay and then other days you're terrible?
It's
or?
like hourly waves. So be okay for like a chunk and then shit for a bit and then not.
Because when you're busy and when your mind is occupied, obviously you're occupied. So when as soon as you're not, it hits you. It's like when you go to do certain things and something will remind you of them. Mm-hmm. And that's when it hits you, right?
Yeah, especially when they've been around you for so long. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But the one bit of advice that I got from the previous breakup was do all the things that you couldn't do when you're with the person. Because that'll remind you that like there is a change and there is a lifestyle uplift after things like this.
Yes.
So
there is more freedom and there is more flexibility and stuff in terms of what you can do. I noticed this. I've actually got a girlfriend that's going through a breakup at the moment, and there's certain things that she was noticing that she was unable to do when she was with this partner. Like certain things get in the way. Life gets in the way. You obviously, when you're in a relationship, you make compromises.
For sure.
You make compromises, and then. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've been in a relationship. It's been 5 years, but I do notice that I really am on my own timeline now. Like I really have no one to answer to, and that is actually really empowering for people. And I think if you are single or you've been single for a really long time and you are, you're in your late 20s and your 30s and you're worried that you're single, like it's just a number. Like it doesn't matter, and you can still have a lot of fun. You can still fill up your cup in other ways. Like you can still have amazing relationships differently. Like I have really good friendships and people in my life who really do fill up my cup that don't make me feel like I need to depend on a
But
partner.
you also don't give up on yourself either. It's the big thing of like, don't fucking give up on yourself. Like if you're not going to bat for you and your dating future and your romantic life, who the fuck's going to do it?
Yeah. Legit.
So that's why I'm saying, like, when you do dumb, reckless shit like I do, and you go and you start dating when you shouldn't be dating or whatever.
Well, but
it's
who
by
says
conventional standards.
Hang on again. Yeah, who says you shouldn't be dating it? That's what society says, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And
Had
this
to
is
pull you up on that.
Like I said, no, yeah. I was trying to more give them the space to be safe, but it was. I guess what I was trying to say was, it's gone. It's gone.
Look, I think whether you date, whether you don't, I don't think it matters. I think as long as you do give yourself the opportunity to actually deal with how you're feeling.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people will see you as trying to shirt that and like duck those feelings. Bro, they come back right after that date's finished.
Trust, they do. They would.
Come back right after that, you know.
So if you go on a date, do you come back and feel like shit?
So no. The good ones, you are like, oh.
Or do you go, I still got this?
You could be like, it's like, so my initial thought, I won't put names in it and stuff.
Obviously, do not do that.
My initial thought was, wow, this is fucking awesome. I could definitely see something similar to what I'd had before again. But she won't reply because that's my luck, right? So there was like that sense of normality where it's like, oh, this is dating me again. Like, you know, we'll see what happens. It would be good if things are awesome. I've got a vibe, but I don't know yet. You get those like those
do
normal
you feel
thoughts
like you
back.
would be ready to commit to somebody emotionally though?
But like I said to you, right? Like this is a 6-month process, mate, before things get close to being like, you know, meeting the parents and all this sort of shit. That's a long fucking time to figure that stuff out. And if she's worth it, it'll make itself.
It'll work itself
very
out.
clear very quickly. Because you need to get your shit in order. Because anyone, like I tend to date chicks that know what they want and are very kind of like about their shit. So you learn very quickly like where they're at, what they want, what they need. And it's like, keep up, bitch, or, you know, stay behind.
Yeah.
So I think when it matters, you'll make it work. Every time before then, like this is what I'm saying to you. Like I've always met proper like lifetime girlfriends in spaces of trauma. I was following a girl to London when I met Amelia at a bar in London. I didn't want to talk to her because I'd had dinner with a ex who was a fucking piece of shit. And it was the worst dinner that I should have had. And I was sad. And then I was at a bar and my mate was like, she's right there, the girl you want to talk to from when we first got to the hostel. Pushed me into her. And then we dated for 5 years.
Isn't it wild the way that things eventuate? Like,
yeah,
the people that when you get into a relationship, whenever I talk to friends who have got into a serious relationship and I hear how they started dating, it's always like, I was not looking for this. Like it just fell into my lap or I just wasn't ready to date anyone. I was happy alone.
You've got to be ready to take that. Like you got to grab it when it's there. Like you won't be actively pursuing it. Like you'll be in a space where you're not ready for it, but you've got to be able to lean into it. Is the thing. Like it won't just fucking fall in your lap, especially as a guy. You're gonna have to lean into it, and I had to with all of those. So when me and Amy started talking and stuff, you know, the breakup was like a year or whatever. I was like, I'll just be single for the rest of COVID. It's fine. Fuck it. And then we started talking, and then I had to have friends point out to me that she was interested because I didn't assume that she would be interested.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
How long were you together for?
4.5, 5 years. Yeah.
Yep. Together for 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. What questions do we think the listeners would have about a breakup?
Yeah. Why
I
are you still talking to her?
Yes.
My advice would be meet her and you'll see why.
Say that again.
Meet her and you'll see why.
She's great, girl.
If you have any partner that you're like, man, I could do without never speaking to them again, I would be like, probably should date them in the first place. And that's what I thought about my exes because I'm like, I probably don't need to speak to. Well, actually, there's one in particular that I don't need to speak to ever again. And I was like, that was probably a lapse in judgment. Yeah. There should be still some compulsion to speak to someone. That I've always had this weird fascination with, like the pair bonding thing, right? Like you pick a person to be the closest person to you forever until something happens and then you never speak to them again. They're the closest person in your entire life, but given one circumstance, you never speak to them again. How does that make any sense? If that was the person that you were supposed to be so close with, at what point should you never speak to them again?
Did you know this is actually?
And it's just a question that I'm asking.
No,
I don't have the answer.
I'm gonna answer a question though.
Yeah.
The question. So the last guy that I dated, that I was with for 3 years.
Yep.
After the day we broke up, we never spoke again. Like not a single thing. Yep. Never spoke to him ever again.
But does it give you that context of maybe that person wasn't like that?
Correct.
You know?
The worst person ever.
Right.
Worst person ever. I'm 100 times happier, must I say.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. When it is that person that
no,
like,
you genuinely still want to talk to them.
When it is that person that is that person, it's like, how could you be like, nah, that's it.
Yeah.
We had this one straight line that we had to walk and we've deviated, so we can't speak again. And this might be this is weird new age shit. I don't know.
And this is again very much to what relationships should be versus what they can be.
Yeah, and if you need to hate to move on, that's cool. And I've done it. I'm just not doing it this time.
I am a big believer, out of sight, out of mind. And when you do break up, you should remove contact. But that's to move forward.
Yeah.
But everyone's different. Like if you genuinely can still, I don't know, if you can genuinely still be friends with an ex, sleep with an ex and be fine with it, cool, go for you. Go off, do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me personally. I couldn't do it.
I guess it is, it's challenging. It's very challenging, and it's not something that I would say most people should do. But I guess if you're in these situations where the person's like super high value, I don't know, man. It's hard to explain to people.
Very hard. But look, it is what it is. This is what's happened.
Yeah. But I guess that I'm just trying to kind of explain it to where they could like kind of get it. I think like most people need the distance to deal with something. And I would say if it's, I guess it maybe that person was a bad decision, in which case you need to move away from it.
Yes.
But if the person wasn't a bad decision and you're literally just moving in different directions, it's like, that's cool. Like there's no hate. It's different if there's no hate or there's no bad in your will.
Yeah, and no one's done anything bad.
And I think most people don't ever break up like that. There's always like a disdain or like there's always a problem or there's always someone cheated or there's always like some shit. And
don't you think
none of that?
That is harder. A breakup is harder when they haven't done anything bad.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot easier to move on if someone's cheated on you because
hate
you're like,
is so easy.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, later, move on. Fuck you, goodbye. Do not ever need to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Whereas if it just ends because that's a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
A lot harder.
Yeah. But stay tuned. Stay tuned to this space. You'll fucking hear what happens.
Stay tuned. We'll find out. Actually, I've got a question.
Yeah.
The ring. What's happening with the ring?
It's her choice. It's with
You're
her.
keeping the ring.
No, it's with her. It's her choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do some rapid fire questions?
Yeah.
All right. We'll end this episode a little bit lightheartedly. I am going to find some rapid fire questions. Let's get them on. All right. Now, these might be a little corny because I literally just Googled them about 2 seconds before we started. But let's have a look. Okay. What is your biggest turn on?
Eyes.
Eyes. You did say this.
Eyes and ass, to be fair.
I already know this answer, but how do you feel about one night stands?
Acceptable. No, look, if the sex is great, why would you not, go back?
Do you like sexting?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yep.
What are your biggest turn offs?
Talking at me is the biggest turn off. If you're talking at me, my dick will invert and I will not like you at all. That's the biggest one, for sure.
Okay. Are you more of a giver or taker in the bedroom?
Giver primarily, but definitely making sure that fucking shit's fair.
Satisfied. Yeah. Okay. How do you feel about PDA?
I love it.
Do you? Okay. Have you ever had sex in public?
Yes.
Where is the hottest place you've had sex?
At a friend's wedding.
At a friend's wedding?
Behind the bar that was in plain sight of everyone.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Was this with your what? Was this with?
No,
Okay.
long before. Yeah.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was late bloomer. I was like 19.
Really?
Yep. I was a fat nerd. No one touched my dick.
Oh, poor Peter.
Yeah.
What was your first time like? This is weird.
Okay, it was on a balcony, and she didn't really speak English. And
So when you lost your virginity at 19, it was with a girl?
Surface Paradise on a balcony across the road from one
On
of
a
the ridiculous
balcony?
but across the road from one of the nightclubs too. It was like bedroom, one of those ones. And then like someone came out and she panicked and like smashed a pot. There's like a whole thing. I've got a whole episode on it. Yeah. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Very traumatic.
What are your kinks? I don't know. Do people want to know that?
That's fine. But I've learned a lot of females' kinks. A lot of
Oh my
girls
God.
have-
Okay, go. What are females' kinks?
A lot of girls have breeding kinks. Do you know what a breeding kink is?
I wouldn't know. I feel like I'm actually a bit of a prude.
That's where they want dudes to blow inside them.
No fucking way. Not for me.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's come up a
Girls
few
like
times.
that.
Come up a few times. A lot of girls are into like proper, like hardcore physical shit too, that's changed a lot since I was single last time.
I think I'm a different human from a different race.
No, you have something but again, like across the board, like girls tend to be a lot more physical than they used to be.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. It says here your favorite kind of porn.
Yeah, did you ask ChatGPT for this?
No, it wasn't ChatGPT. It was just the internet. I asked
Amateur's the go-to.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's more coming up, but now I can't see.
We have plenty of.
Okay. Then there was. What's your best pickup line?
So I don't use them per se. I'm just like, you're adorable. I wanted to speak to you. But good ones I've had is how much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. Hi, my name's Peter. How you going? No, I genuinely, honestly, I just talk. I don't need lines. I just like think you're cute and I want to talk to you.
What makes you nervous?
Every hot girl ever that's existed in rooms.
Really?
Yeah, of course. You have to go talk to them. It's terrifying.
Okay. Are you a cuddler?
Yes. Of course.
To spoon or to be spooned?
No, I'm usually spooning.
Fucking yeah. I am to be spooned for sure.
Yeah.
One night stand, like to sleep over or leave?
Okay, I'm impartial. No, you know what? If I really like them, of course, stay. But yeah, if it's annoying and if there's post-nut clarity involved, it's like, can you evaporate at this moment, please?
Oh my God, explain it. Post-nut clarity for the galleries who don't know.
So post-nut clarity is when things aren't quite right with. We'll do the whole deep dive about it.
Fuck it, let's do it. Let's finish on post-nut clarity.
When you're dating someone, you might not necessarily like them, but there's something about them you're like, fuck, I don't know. I'm just attracted to her for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. And it's this big thing that dudes have. You're like, I'm compelled to be around her. I actually don't like her, I think. Now that I think is like, but I'm still drawn to her. Like I still have that pull to go towards her. And the post-nut clarity is literally you'll have sex and be like, oh, I just wanted to fuck her and that was it. We're still oblivious. Like my EQ's quite high and I get tricked by it all the time. It happened recently. Like very recently, like last week. And it was like, I objectively don't like her. There's little to no vibe. She's a horrible kisser. And I still really want to sleep with her. But
have you slept with her?
No. Because I know that it's that. And when I fuck her, I know that I'll
So you're going to have sex with her and you think then it'll be...
I've identified it. And I'm like, probably don't do that. But we'll see.
Interesting. But I thought post-nut clarity was when you sleep with them and then realize you're not into them anymore.
You do. And then you can kind of like, it's hard to gauge it. But then like, I guess now that I'm an old man, you can kind of feel it out, but it'll come in waves. Like, no, I'm actually into her. She's all right. Like it's literally, you can hear me fighting with it in my brain as we speak. I'm like, no, she's actually still kind of hot, to be fair. And then you're like, yeah, but she wasn't when you met her, and she was kind of annoying. Be like, but there was something. And then you're like, once you have sex, that's gone. And you're like, oh, okay. It was
I reckon girls get it
just a
too,
need.
to be fair.
Yeah, it was like literally just a need to sleep with her.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, that's confirmed. That was 100% that. So
because girls obviously get stigmatized if the sex is really good, then they're like, oh my God, I'm in love. Or
oh, yeah, but you'll go in with it. If she's...
Or you're like, literally have sex with them and get
that's
the
a
ick.
good question, actually. Could you be on the fence and the sex be really good and you keep going back? They usually have to be... usually have to be pretty attracted to them for the sex to be like really good as well to bring you back in. If there's no, like, if you're bordering on the attraction, like because she's annoying or whatever, and then like...
What makes a girl annoying?
Talking at me, like I said. And then a big one is a guy that has a podcast, and then you tell someone you don't listen to podcasts and you offer advice on how you could improve the podcast when you don't listen to podcasts. That's a big one. There is referencing how much money I make on a date based on what she thinks that I do for a job.
Okay.
There was like many red flags that were ticked.
We didn't even speak about your icks.
Yeah.
What are your icks when you date now?
Yeah. So for me, it is a change in posture when they realize what I do for work. And then like you can see like the thing. So if I can pick up on someone that's like, oh, this guy does well, and I can feel like they're going to like leech. So I guess an ick for me would be a girl that's not driven, that makes her own money and does her own thing. For me,
as in you like a girl that does her own thing.
Yeah, fucking oath. I don't want my job to be like, I want my job to be part of what attracts her to me, but I don't want the income to be that, because like, cool. So you're just going to stop working permanently for me. And in this day and age, I think most guys are kind of aware that if you want to live off one wage, you're fucked.
Yeah.
So,
this is true.
I think drive for me has always been a big thing, and I've always only ever dated driven women.
We were talking about icks, but anyway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so that was the
no, but that's
thing. What else? Fucking mate, if they're a loud chewer, get the fuck away from me. I get violently pissed off by that. Yeah, if you can't chew with your mouth closed, it's over. Look, but again, the icks, I'm fairly forgiving, but that's just like a trigger with all people. Like if I have mates that eat loudly, I'll be like, fucking move away from me. And yeah, again, I don't have too many. I think if I'm attracted to them, like I'm already there. So they'd have to do some pretty outlandish shit. And I'm pretty funny, so like they could say some wild shit, and as long as they're not being serious about it, I'd be pretty down. You know what? If they take themselves way too seriously, like if they're very proper, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Have a little bit of laugh, a little bit of fun.
People that take dating seriously, massive ick.
Yeah, like
people rock up to dates like it's a fucking interview or some shit.
Oh my God, yeah. What is up with that?
No.
What is up with that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. What is the worst thing that you've seen on your speed dating?
So I've seen a guy with complete anxiety not be able to go on a date. That was pretty confronting. We've also had, so I've had people that would be objectively called monsters, say that other people weren't attractive, and then not go on a date with them and sit down. We've had people say, what if I want to leave the date? I said, mate, it's 10 minutes. You've just got to sit with a person for 10 minutes. And when you tell them like, well, what if a person sat with you and wanted to leave straight away and left? How would you feel? They were almost always offended. Like you just said you wanted to leave the same person that would do that to you. Yeah, speed dating's really good, really rewarding when you see it work. But because it's such high volume, you see like the worst.
Do people take speed dating seriously, or do they just do it for lols? Because I feel like
you get both. So you get people that are like, actually the ones that I personally will like look after and make sure they're fine. The ones that are like super nervous. Like we had a guy, super like attractive guy, shredded. Like, but he must have been through some traumatic stuff. This was like last week. Shaking. Like, because they have to log into their phones. You could see his thumbs like fucking shaking. And you just kind of take care of him and you're like, it's gonna be all right, man. Like, I know. He's like, yeah, no, like I'm pretty nervous. It's been a while since I've dated and stuff. And you could see like he couldn't look down, look up and stuff. And you just like get him a drink, like just kind of calm him down.
Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's more often than not like guys that'll be paralyzed with fear that's visible. You won't see it on the girls because they'll sit and you just won't notice. Yeah. The paralysis is pretty full on. The bar staff told me that they saw someone give someone a foot job in one of the speed dating events.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if I was working there or not, but that was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and the shit ones are like when people leave, like an event, when they've got to like be on dates with people and stuff. It's like, if you've committed, just write it out, you know?
That is unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. Well, for the people out there that ever want to give speed dating a go, where's your recommendation?
Cityswoon.com.au.
Repeat that, please.
Cityswoon.com.au.
And when does this run?
Every single day of the week, my friends.
Oh my God, really?
Yep, they actually had events in Austin while I was there too. It's a pretty big company. London, Austin, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth,
Melbourne?
Adelaide. Yeah.
Every single night?
Every Monday through Friday.
And what time?
They start at about 6 usually. Oh no, sorry, I lie. I have to be there at 6. They start at about 7.
How often do you go?
So I'm working 3 to 4 nights a month. So it's pretty much once a week. Yeah, so if you want to get along to them.
Have you ever picked up at a speed dating event?
No, we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to at all.
Oh, dear Lord. Well, I think that brings us to an end of this episode. But look, what is the last key takeaway that you have for the listeners that may be going through a breakup or have gone through a breakup or who are struggling to get back out and date? Yeah. What is your last piece of advice for them?
I think it's going to be okay. Take your time. And if you are avoiding dating, start fucking dating.
Start fucking dating. Just do it.
Yep.
Get laid.
Because I'll put it this way, it's always going to be bad at the start.
Yeah.
So get it out of the way now while you're feeling bad. It'll make you feel a little bit worse than you are currently, but you'll get through it.
Also,
I'm doing it right now.
Also, the more you date, the better you get at it.
Correct. And the more you're like, because you're not going to be listening to my podcast, you're going to miss bits and pieces and all that sort of stuff. You're going to learn what you like.
Yes. And you will learn how to start conversations and what to talk about and things like that too.
And you're going to give the person that's going to be the person for the rest of your life the chance to meet you, which is the biggest thing. That's all this bullshit is, from guys or girls or whatever. It's just giving the person that's going to spend the rest of their life with you the chance to be with you. That's it. That's all it is. You can do what you want. You can listen to what you want, whatever. Like all these fucking gurus and stuff will tell you everything. Every event, every interaction is just giving that person that chance to be with you for the rest of your life. And every time you don't do it, you're not doing it.
This is a good piece
Pretty
of advice.
straightforward.
Good wake up call.
That's it.
Well, everybody, hopefully Georgia will be back in the studio next week. We will have another guest lined up shortly. It might be a solo episode from me next week. We'll see. Don't know what we've got in store, but we will be back. We will be uploading and we will see you then.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.